Excuse me? Excuse me, sir. How do I get to King Street?
Oh, dude, I love this stuff. I'm listening to the Stix.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode number 5 of the Stix. My name is Aiden,
I'm Drew.
and we're just gonna get right into it.
All right, starting off with the week 7 picks. So for this first game that we're going to talk about is State traveling to Duke and taking the L 24-3. I mean, this is, in my opinion, kind of an interesting ending to interesting game, because I thought with Riley Leonard being out that State would have a better game, but the offense didn't do anything, and quite frankly, 24 getting put up on you with a backup quarterback is a decent amount of points. So I'm surprised by this outcome. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was keeping up with this game, and honestly, I was surprised to see Duke pull away because, like we said last week, Drew and I both decided that if Riley Leonard didn't play, then NC State would have this in the bag just because of their defense and how good it is. But I didn't realize NC State's offense would struggle this much against this Duke team.
Yeah. Moving on here. Number 10, or I guess now number 10, Carolina has Miami come in, and the story coming into this game was Tez Walker. I know he played against Syracuse, but he was on scout team before he was allowed to play, so he never really got to learn the playbook. I heard during the broadcast that before he went out to run routes, he had teammates telling him what like a certain play was. This week, obviously, that did not happen. If he had 3 touchdowns, he was crucial for this game, and Miami couldn't really stop him. And the defense, though, gave up 31 points, played pretty darn well, caused 3 turnovers, picked up Tyler Van Dyke twice. One was at the end of the game, but they had a fumble early in the game at the goal line. So that was cool. I mean, UNC for the most part in the second half controlled the game. Miami was up 17-14 at half, but after that, UNC just kind of was on one and had a great second half, and Miami just kind of worked behind, got a little garbage time touchdown at the end. So that score is a little more than just 10 points, but yeah, it was a pretty good game. Did you watch?
I saw the end of it. One thing I do want to touch on, though, is Drake May, for not having such a great season as he did last year. He still had 4 touchdowns with no turnovers today, or in this game. So yeah,
it was a
and
quality.
Amarion Hampton had almost 200 rushing yards.
Yeah, he has those types of games. Aiden and I were in attendance for one of them. 200, I think he had like 270 rushing yards against App week 2. So I mean, he's a crazy running back, but he likes to have his little game in spurts. He likes to go from 0 to 100 real quick. Anyway, moving on here. Oh my gosh, this was horrible. Aiden and I were in attendance. We left. All you need to know is we left early. It was such a bad game. It was 0-0 at half, and the only time Navy scored was on break, like really just lapses in the defense, just bad plays. So you see the score.
Yeah, Drew and I discussed that this was going to be a bad game, and interesting fact, there was a combined 20 passing yards at halftime between these two teams.
Yes.
It was honestly a horrible game to watch, and I'm sad I was at this game as opposed to some other game. I don't know what game, but yeah, don't expect to see me back at another Charlotte football game.
All right, y'all. I have to say, this is I did a couple weeks ago with the State game. Made it look like they won the game. I messed up. This time I just flip-flopped the scores. SMU beat ECU 31-10, not vice versa. So the story into this game, ECU, not a good football program. I won't say program. They're not good this year. And SMU, we knew they were pretty decent. They have Jalen Knighton, picture there, who's a really good runner coming out of Miami, transfer from Miami, that is. And it was a quality game from him. And ECU just never really looked like they could get any offense going. It was sort of close going into the fourth quarter, but SMU just kind of pulled away at the end. And that's about it. It was on Thursday night, so not a whole lot of people were watching. They were watching the Thursday night game in the NFL, so not much of a crowd watching, but I watched. I can tell you that. Moving on here, the biggest game, best game of the week, I'd say.
Oh my God, yeah.
Washington, Oregon. I won't lie. We were at the game, or the Charlotte game, so I didn't really get to see a whole lot of this game. But I did tune in to see that missed field goal at the end. And I gotta say, it really sucks. It really sucks that they couldn't pull it. Oregon couldn't tie that game, because I do like Bo Nix in that program, but I also like Michael Penix, and so it was close.
Yeah, I mean, going into this, Drew and I were split. I think Drew chose Washington and I chose Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what a game to be split on, for it to come down to a missed game-tying field goal. Michael Penix had a great game, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, and Dylan Johnson, the running back, also did. And it really came down to what Drew said: the Washington wide receivers, Roma Dunze and Jalen Polk, had each over 100 yards. And not to shy away from Oregon, but Bo Nix also himself had 337 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. And Bucky Irving, the running back, had 127 yards, a touchdown, and Troy Franklin, the leading wide receiver, 154 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, it was a really big offensive game. Oregon's defense couldn't stay with the Washington offense and Michael Penix and all their playmakers out wide. So it really came down to what Drew touched on last week with Washington's playmakers.
I don't know if you saw this, but it didn't really end up mattering the outcome of the game. But late in the game, it was I think they were on the goal line, but Washington ran the ball 3 times in a row out of shotgun on the goal line, which I think is kind of weird. And I don't know. I mean, it didn't work the first couple times. Why were they kept on? I mean, I don't know why they did it. But it honestly didn't end up mattering. But if they lost that game, that would have been a big storyline, a big fault from the offensive coordinator if they lost that game. But they didn't.
Yeah.
Moving on here, we got a score that I don't think anyone in America saw. Now, Aiden and I did say that Arizona they were a sneaky good team. They showed that the last couple weeks. And we thought that, we thought we still picked Washington State, but we thought it could have been a close one. It wasn't. It was not a close one, but on Arizona's side, I mean, the Cougars looked horrible. And Arizona, Noah Fafita, like I said last week, he's a dog. He's insane, and they blow the roofs going into Washington State too, and blow the roofs off of them. Crazy. Yeah,
Noah Fafita had 342 yards. Unfortunately, he didn't have many scores, but they had a combined 5 rushing touchdowns and 174 rushing yards as a team. 2 of the running backs having over 70 yards, which is crazy. And it's not like Noah Fafita has a favorite receiver either. He had 5 different receivers with 4+ receptions, the highest being Jacob Cowling with 8 receptions.
Spreading the rock, I see.
So he spreads the rock.
Another game that neither of us expected. Actually, that's not true. I lied. Aiden did call this. I lied, but I don't think you thought that they were going to do it in this capacity. They blow the rocks off USC. Caleb Williams going into a game, the Heisman favorite. 3 picks in the first half. You can't have that happen. And another kind of side note, Caleb Williams said today that whoever gets drafted by, he wants a stake in their team. That's how to not get drafted. Notre Dame, kind of. I mean, they're off and on. I really wish that I could see like a week that or the whole season when they're good, because they're bad one week like against Louisville and honestly against Duke as well, and then they have the games like this where they're crazy and they play amazing.
Well, Notre Dame in the past 4 weeks has played 4 straight top 25 opponents, with it being
technically
Duke, Louisville, USC, and Ohio State. In the past 4 weeks. I mean,
Louisville wasn't ranked at the time. If we're playing, if we're playing technicalities.
Yeah, but Sam Hartman honestly didn't have a crazy spectacular game either. He was only 13 for 20, 126 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Audric Estime had 95 yards and 2 touchdowns for him as well. But it really comes down to the lack of defense from USC.
And we knew that coming into this game. They did not have a good defense.
Yeah, they went into, triple overtime last week with Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona.
Who just washed Washington State. So we knew that USC had a kind of a crappy defense. And Notre Dame comes in and exposes that. Granted, they did use Caleb Williams' turnovers to their advantage, which shows why they didn't have so many yards. Honestly, they only had 251 total yards as a team, and they put up 48 points, which is crazy. But it really just goes to show that how turnovers can just kill a team.
Yeah, they also had that kick return. I believe that still frame right there is from the kick return.
Yeah,
I do believe. But yeah, they had a really good game, and I'm excited to. I think they're on bye this week, if I'm not wrong. I might be. I actually think both these teams are on bye this week. I'm not sure, but both had week 0 games, and I've yet to see them not play a game. So I assume that they'd both be on bye. So maybe USC can think about this loss.
USC does not have a bye for the rest of the year. Oh wow,
that's weird. They must already have one, and I missed it.
They did. They had their bye after the Colorado game.
Oh, okay. I guess I just missed it. But Notre Dame goes into a bye with a big win, and USC just to bounce back.
Yep.
Moving to our second to last game, Missouri beats Kentucky, and we both predicted this. I do believe we both said that Devin Lee was not a good quarterback. In fact, if I'm going maybe hot take. He looks like one of the worst transfer quarterbacks, at least transfer starters. That is, he just does not look good. He just honestly doesn't look good. He has 2 touchdowns, 2 picks in this game. Coming out of state, I mean, he had a pretty good career against state, and he wanted SEC play. And Kentucky only has 2 losses to I guess they really wasn't ranked, but Georgia, obviously number 1 team in the nation, they're giving their 2 losses, but he wanted SEC play, and he's getting SEC play, but he hasn't proved his worth in SEC play quite yet, because they've lost to the only 2 real good opponents that they've played. Unless you're counting Florida as a good team, but he didn't really do much that game. He just panned the ball off. That's not hard. I could do that. But yeah, Missouri looked good. They're back in the rankings like they should be, and Kentucky drops out. Like I think they should.
The Missouri secondary held Devin Leary to only 120 passing yards with 2 touchdowns, but they also had 2 picks to match the touchdowns that Devin Leary tossed for. And then one player that did stand out to me this game, no one on Missouri, everyone kind of had their average game, but Ray Davis had 128 rushing yards, but he had no touchdowns to go along with it. So he was just getting the rock, pounding it, and just couldn't get in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, what a game. Our last game to go over for this past week is UCLA going in and losing to Oregon State. Now, we've preached and we've heard about how good UCLA's defense is, but 36 points is a lot. Oregon State went out there and beat that defense, but I still believe it's a really, really good defense. And in my opinion, UCLA shouldn't still be ranked. I think JMU should probably have that spot just because they're undefeated. But
yeah,
UCLA, I'm not mad at it. UCLA stays in the rankings. They're a good team, but I think their defense carries. They have a young freshman 5-star in Dante Moore, but he's just he's really scary. He's really bad with the rock. He throws a lot of picks, and he's not careful with it at all. I think he's had multi interceptions in most of the games they've played this year. If I'm not mistaken, I'm excited to see what Chip Kelly and UCLA can do in the next coming year.
Yeah. So for this game, Drew and I split. Drew went with UCLA and I went with Oregon State. And glad to say I came out on top again with an Oregon State pick. With the prior one being Utah and Oregon State, right? Yeah, I think you chose Utah and Oregon State. Anyways, yeah. DJ Uyunglele with 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks, and then their backup actually came in and threw for a touchdown himself.
Did he?
Shout out Aiden Childs. Yeah. Also, Damian Martinez, 90 yards on the ground. They had 1 turnover the whole game. Deshaun Fenwick with a fumble, and then obviously we talked about UCLA. Dante Moore with 3 interceptions. So
yeah, Evan.
It's really just a battle. It's really just a battle of turnovers, I guess. Oregon State wins it; they take home the dub.
I will say, I saw a little thing that said that the Pac-12 is a cannibalistic conference. I mean, everyone beats everyone. Utah beats Oregon State. Oregon State beats UCLA. UCLA beats Utah. I mean, it's just they beat each other. No one can really.
It's a heavily competitive conference, and it's
which I like.
That they're breaking up.
It sucks. All right, the Week 8 big games coming up this week. Starting, I should have known that UCSC was not a bye this week, but yes, I didn't. USC playing Utah. Utah coming. I think they're off a bye this week. I do think that Utah's off a bye. After I don't remember who they beat, but Utah coming into USC. And they're hungry. The defense is crazy, so we're gonna see how Caleb Williams fares up against it. It's gonna be a good matchup. Caleb Williams versus a really good Utah defense. Now, him rising. It turned out that they just said that he tore his ACL. It turned out he completely blew out his knee, like everything, MCL, ACL, all of the stuff in his knee. He messed up, so he's out for more time, I believe. So I don't think he's playing this game. And honestly, because of that reason, because the offense isn't as explosive as it would be if he was playing, I think USC gets it done here. Because we all know USC has bad defense. They don't play very well. But with Utah not having their best quarterback and their offense not being the greatest, I think that those are going to counteract. And USC, the offense is just so explosive, in my opinion, that I think USC pulls this one out.
I honestly, this is a tough one because we know USC has really no defense at their disposal. Mm-hmm. And we've seen teams like Arizona and Notre Dame expose that. And honestly, I think at this point, any team could expose it. And with Utah, they have a defensive, and we've seen what happens with Caleb Williams when there is a capable defense that he goes against. I want to take Utah, but I don't expect Caleb Williams to have a game like he had last week. So I'm going to go with Utah, but I think it'll be a closer game than last week.
All right, a game that I'm really interested in, a little ACC battle. Number 16 Duke going into number 4 FSU. And the big story of this game, watch this right here. Riley Leonard. See a little transition? Riley Leonard's the big story on this game. Will he play? Will he not play? We don't know. If he plays, I think this is a competitive battle because Duke's defense is good. They are. And we all know about FSU's offense. Keon Coleman, he's crazy. You see that one-handed catch he had in that picture right there? He's so good. Transferred from Michigan State. And then you have Jordan Travis, who, I mean, he's obviously he's a Heisman. He's on the Heisman watch list. I wouldn't say he's a favorite, but he's up there. Top 5, in my opinion. So we're gonna see how this game goes. If Riley Leonard plays, I couldn't tell you how good the quarterback is for Duke because I didn't really watch the game as I should have. But I think if Riley Leonard plays this game, it's gonna be a close one. And I think either way, FSU takes this one. But I think that it'll be probably a closer battle if Riley Leonard plays.
I think it'll be really close. But I am not completely sold on Florida State. I know they absolutely killed LSU in week 1, but then again, I've also seen them struggle against like teams like Boston College, where they only beat them by 2 points, I believe. And Boston College is like a bottom of the barrel FBS team. So I'm not completely sold on FSU. I think if Riley Leonard does play, I think Duke wins. And I think that'll shake up the college football. That'll shake up the college football world. But
shake up the ACC.
Shake up the ACC for sure. But I think if Riley Leonard doesn't play, then it's really FSU's game to lose. So I'm gonna go Florida State. And the question I ask is do you think that either of these the winner of these two games could possibly could meet in the ACC championship, or one of these teams? Because keep in mind, Duke's only loss is Notre Dame, who is not an ACC team. So they're so undefeated in the ACC. So we're gonna have to see. I think the winner of this game could be in the ACC championship for sure.
They could meet. Hopefully not, though. Moving on, hopefully college not. Game day this weekend.
What a game!
Penn State going to Ohio State. Both these teams are undefeated. They're both hungry. And I think that whoever wins this game probably cements themselves. And obviously, Ohio State's still already in the top 5. But whoever wins this game will stay in the top 5. And whoever loses this game probably won't drop a lot, I would imagine.
But I also think whoever wins this game will probably make an appearance in the college football playoff.
Yeah. But do keep in mind, both these teams still have to play Michigan. So we're gonna see how this one goes. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. I think that Ohio State pulls this one out, and in a close scrap. I think if Penn State was home, they would finally get the win. But I think Ohio State wins this one in a close game. I don't really think either of these teams are deserving of the top 10 ranking, in my opinion.
I really don't know who to go with. As we know, Ohio State hasn't really had a big test yet this year, with their biggest test, I believe, being Notre Dame, who's been an up and down team the entire year. Yeah. And Penn State has just consistently beaten the crap out of every team they've played. Mm-hmm. And I think that comes with their stellar defense that they have. And Penn State always has a great defense.
Yeah.
So I think I want to go with Penn State.
I respect it.
It'll be a great game. It's very deserving of being college game day. So
absolutely. All right, moving into the the Heisman rankings here. I think
see.
some of this might surprise you here. Number 5. You know I had to do it.
No,
Drake
no,
May. Drake May.
appearance. His first
appearance. 1,905 yards, 16 total touchdowns. He does have those 4 picks, but it was in the first 3 games. He's been better at the ball these last couple weeks.
Yeah, I've noticed he has cut the turnovers down a lot. So
I think he's deserving of at least a 5th ranking. UNC's undefeated.
I'm cool with that.
Speaking of undefeated teams in the ACC, number 4. Said I'll talk about him. Jordan Travis, number 4. Now, you look at the stats, and you say, why is Drake May behind him? Drake May has better stats.
Turnovers.
And to that I say, I think Jordan Travis, at the end of the day, this is why I didn't think though Jaden Daniels has a lot of good stats, you have to play for a winning program to win the Heisman. Your team has to be really good. Let's be honest. That's the reason that you get the Heisman. And Lamar Jackson, Louisville is good.
Yeah, I don't think they were ranked at the end of the season.
Regardless, I think that Florida State has a legit shot at making the college football playoffs, and I have to say, I don't think Carolina does, as much as it pains me. So I put Jordan Travis at 4. At number 3,
if you guys win out, you have a chance.
Well, obviously, but we had to beat Florida State to do that, because I'd imagine if we met in the ACC tournament or championship, that would who we'd be playing. Number 3, Dylan Gabriel. He 1,878 yards, 21 total touchdowns, and only 2 picks. He had a bye this week, so it's not really fair to drop him or put him up because he didn't play. So
yeah,
if you want to learn about him, go to last week's episode. We talked about him in a little more depth. Number 2, Caleb Williams, 2,221 yards, 29 total touchdowns, and 4 picks, 3 of which coming from last week's game. And I feel like that picture was perfect to represent the following that he had from the number 1 ranking. And
the unanimous number 1 spot that he
had. And as I just spoiled a couple of seconds ago, number 1, Michael Penix Jr., 2,301 yards, 30 total touchdowns, and 3 picks. They have very similar stats, but currently Washington is I think 5th in the nation.
In
my opinion, they should be higher. They played a crazy good Oregon team, and I don't believe Michael Penix turned the ball over last week against a defense.
One interception.
One. Well, he worked from behind. Apparently, he was spitting some bars on the sidelines. Sad I didn't get to hear it, but he picks up a win. And some people, even before last week, had Michael Penix at number 1. So finally, he's number 1 here.
Someone takes down Caleb Williams.
All right, we are talking NFL Power Rankings. This is my NFL Power Rankings. So Aiden has not seen these yet. Starting off with number 10, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, they got a win against the Titans, but it was kind of a close win. Like, they were up by a decent amount, and then they just kind of let the Titans get back into it. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're number 10 for me. They're right. Number 9, the Cleveland Browns.
Good pick.
And
I like this.
Yeah, I like the Cleveland Browns. They did beat the Niners. And it was obviously that's a huge win. Deshaun Watson, obviously not it sucks that he's gone right now. I think he'll be back. PJ Walker threw 2 picks, but he played decent enough for them obviously to get the win. And the defense is good. Obviously you have Myles Garrett. who is insane. That's why, yeah, got them at 9. Number 8, Seahawks. They're coming off a bye, so they didn't really do a whole lot. Like, they can't do anything. They weren't playing, so they're just gonna kind of not much to say there. Like I said, if you want to hear about the Seahawks, look at last week's show. We talked about them. Aiden talked about them in a little more depth. Number 7, the Dallas Cowboys. They get a pretty quality win against the Chargers. It was shaky at times, but they looked pretty good. I think 7's a good spot for them.
Yeah.
Number 6, the Buffalo Bills. They should have lost that game, if we're being honest. They did not look good, and they got away with a pass. Teron Johnson got away with a pass interference call at the end on Darren Waller. So
but you have to think about they're watching. The refs can't call something after the play. They're watching it real time. Real time, it looked clean. You see the replay. You could probably find about 4 instances of holding, not just on Johnson. So I like the defense. It shows he can. If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
There. Move number 5. I dropped the Eagles from 2 to 5, or actually, it was 3 to 5 actually. They obviously lose a bad loss against the Jets, who I think can be a sneaky playoff team still, but you can't lose to the Jets. Yeah. And they looked horrible. Jalen Hurts tied for most interceptions thrown in the league. Crazy.
Nope, not correct.
Oh, second to last. Second highest.
Yes. Someone has 8. I saw a graphic today. Someone has 8, and then Mac Jones and Jalen Hurts both have 7.
Yeah, still a lot of picks. Can't be doing that on a good team. Number 4, the Detroit Lions. I love Dan Campbell, man. I love the Lions. I love that they're good. It's good for football. I love the Lions. I'm rooting for them.
Yeah.
Number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that I'm still not like completely sold on the Chiefs yet. They don't really have a whole lot of weapons at their disposal. Of course, they have Travis Kelce, but
they did just trade for McCole Hardman today.
I did see that, but what difference is McCole Hardman going to make? We're going to have to find out. Number 2, and I think you're going to be shocked when you see this, but you know who number 1 will be. The Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins at number 2. They had the best offense in the league, and they looked really good. And I know he's shocked, staying at number 1, not moving, even though they did lose. The San Francisco 49ers. Look, they lost Deebo Samuel and Chris McCaffrey that game, but they're not seriously hurt, and they should be back soon. So I think that at full strength, they're still the number 1 team. I think that it was a tough loss against the Browns, but then they needed that loss to humble themselves. So
I'm okay with that. I like your explanation.
Yeah. So we're moving on just to some picks, or some picks that we had last week, and the recaps of those games. So here it is. We'll start on the left here with Lions Buccaneers. I do believe we both picked Lions.
Yeah.
And that's no surprise. The Bucs didn't really look good. They obviously dropped out of the power rankings because they did not look good at all. And I'm not much to say. The Lions look good, although I don't. What the Bucs do have going for them is those creamsicle jerseys. They're beautiful. We'll work down to the bottom here with the Ravens-Titans, the London game this week. Ravens were up big to start and kind of let the Titans get back into it a little bit. Then Ryan Tannehill got hurt.
I believe I went with the Titans in this game.
Did you? Oh.
I did a little bit.
Ryan Tannehill gets hurt, and Malik Willis, when he comes in, just looks uncomfortable. He did not look good.
He's not an NFL-ready quarterback. Say that.
Not quite yet. Ravens get the win there. And again, another game that Aiden picked wrong. Chargers-Cowboys. He went Chargers. I went Cowboys. It was a lot closer than I had thought it would be. But the Chargers, they are the most they're one of the most injury-riddled teams, just like Aiden's fantasy team. And that's more than just this year. They always deal with injuries.
Yeah.
And it's bad when Keenan Allen is the most healthy wide receiver on your team. So I hate it for them, but Justin Herbert once again couldn't do it in the clutch. Those fans, man, the free fans they have to be hurting. They always lose in really close battles.
Yeah.
Really hate it for them. Any thoughts on these 3 games?
No, I mean, I think you basically covered it all. You picked the Lions, right? But I like the Lions. I think the Lions should be higher than 4 in your power rankings. I was watching ESPN's Stevens A list. He had the Lions at 1.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's
that was
too
a little
high.
crazy. Same.
Well, I like it though. Week 7 big games. There's a couple good ones this week. Moving on, or starting off here, Lions Ravens, number 4 versus number 10 on the power rankings, and the Ravens have a home field advantage in this one, which I think could factor in a lot. The Lions obviously look good coming into this game, but a huge loss was Dave Montgomery, who they don't have.
This gives Jahmyr Gibbs a chance.
It does. Hate it. I'm playing for Jahmyr Gibbs this week in fantasy. But it sucks. But I think that he obviously it's good for him that he finally gets the opportunity that he deserves. And of course the Ravens, they're off and on. It's just the truth. And
yeah,
I think because of that, the Lions come in and get a scrappy win. I think that they win by 2 scores, possibly more.
Yeah, I like the Lions offense a lot, and including Sam Laporta. He's like a standout rookie tight end. I'm pretty sure he has the record for like receptions for a tight end in the first 4 or 5 games. Anyways, Sam Laporta looks very good for the in the first half of the season, and even with David Montgomery's injury, the Lions, it's not like they don't have a backup running back with Jahmyr Gibbs. But on top of that, Drew and I have talked about this a lot, not necessarily on this podcast, but running back is the most easily replaceable position.
They have a good line.
Yeah, and so I think Jahmyr Gibbs will succeed in this offense, and then coming weeks, depending on how long David Montgomery's out. I'm going to go Lions, even though I think the Ravens defense is very good. I think Lamar is very good. I think they just lack offensive weapons, and Mark Andrews really hasn't been showing up.
Chargers, Chiefs.
Why? I can never escape her.
Psych. Had to put it on there just to mess around. But Chargers, Chiefs. I think that the Chargers are probably going to end up losing this game and another heartbreaking loss like they do every single week, and I really hate it for them. Patrick Mahomes just likes to beat his divisional opponents. I think I found Kelsey twice at minimum in the end zone this weekend. So I'm going to go Chiefs, defending home field advantage. Defending the home.
Yeah, the Chargers defense always just sells them out. Their defense in the last 2 weeks, I believe they lost J.C. Jackson. He signed back with the Patriots, and I mean, he doesn't even look that great. He didn't do anything that stood out to me. But the Chargers offense always shows up, but the Chiefs offense is just better. I mean, I don't really have any other words. The Chiefs offense is just better. Even though they lack offensive weapons, they have three different running backs that they use in Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Jerick McKinnon, each in their own different ways. And then, I mean, I've seen this growing up watching Tom Brady and the Patriots. It really doesn't matter what receivers you have as long as you have a quarterback. I've seen Tom Brady turn no-name receivers into like borderline Pro Bowlers. So Patrick Mahomes doesn't really struggle with his receiving core of people such as Sky Moore, Rashee Rice,
Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney, and then he always has his handyman in Travis Kelce. Like Drew said, Travis Kelce probably found the end zone twice. So who knows? I'm going Chiefs.
Moving on, Sunday Night Football, Dolphins, Eagles. This is probably one of the most hyped up games this year so far. And
Yeah.
the Eagles have a tough schedule ahead of them, and it starts here with the Dolphins, probably the most explosive, actually the most explosive offense in the NFL when it comes to stats. You have Tua, obviously, who is leading the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns, I believe. And they dropped 42 on the Panthers. You know, the defense isn't bad for the Panthers, but 42 is obviously a lot of points.
Yeah.
And the Eagles coming off a loss, probably hungry, wanting to get their get back this week, get back in the win column at losing to the Jets. It's a tough decision because the Eagles defense is good, and the Dolphins offense is also really good. But if there's anything that I've seen from the Dolphins is that they like to lose to the good teams. So I'm gonna go Eagles in this one. I think the Eagles eke out a win at home field.
Yeah, so I think that when the Dolphins offense and the Eagles defense step on the field, the moment of the first snap, there will be an implosion of the Eagles stadium. I've seen what the Dolphins do against top defenses, being the Bills. I mean, even the Patriots were able to slow them down to, I believe, only 24 points. And the Eagles offense, although Jalen Hurts isn't doing that great, they still put up points. They still win games. Obviously, they're 5-1.
Yeah.
I think. I've seen the Dolphins struggle with good defenses, and they just kind of expose the bad defenses when they face them. I think I'm gonna go Eagles.
All right.
I mean,
now,
I don't think it'll be a horrible game either. I think it'll be a good game, but I'm going Eagles.
No, I'm gonna go Sunday night football game. Monday night, 49ers Vikings. Yeah, the Vikings. I know what we preached. They were a good team. Like every time they lost, but they're not good, and it does not help that they lose Justin Jefferson. They just simply do not look good. So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet here. I think 49ers go into Minnesota and win by a good amount of points here, but you never know what the Vikings have in store.
We say it every week. The Niners have offensive weapons, defensive weapons. Who knows? They probably have special teams weapons. The Vikings are not a great team, but the Niners are probably going to go into they're going to go into Minneapolis and blow the roof off that dome. So
yeah,
I'm going Niners.
All right, we're gonna wrap up the Stix here with talking about the opening week for the NBA and just breezing over these games real quick, and actually televised ones, that is. We're going to start at the top left and work our way to the bottom right, starting with Lakers Nuggets opening night. I think that this is going to be a good opening night game. I think that both these squads are good, and I'm gonna go Nuggets here.
Yeah, I don't think the Lakers are that good. Obviously, they have LeBron, Anthony Davis, they have D'Lo, but I don't think the Lakers are that good. The Nuggets coming off their championship, I mean, they have Jokic and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Like, they have all these playmakers. I think the Nuggets I think they might kill them. They might throw LeBron into a retirement home. I'm going Nuggets.
Now, the opening night game here, my Suns, not bandwagon, I swear, versus the Warriors. I'm gonna take Suns, but I'll leave you with this. Bradley Beal is gonna be guarded by the third best perimeter defender on every team that they play. And keep in mind, he was a 30-point per game scorer just a couple of years ago. So I really don't know how this team is going to be stopped offensively.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see.
I think the Suns are going to go home with a win here, but what I do think the Suns are lacking against probably every other NBA team is bench depth. You're paying your entire starting lineup so much money, with it being with it being Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and then the Warriors have Chris Paul on their bench. Probably, I assume they'll have Chris Paul on their bench because I don't imagine they start Chris Paul, Steph, and Clay all in the same starting lineup. Who knows? They might.
Yeah.
But I think the Suns are going to win this one. Granted, they don't have bench depth at all.
All right. So for these next couple games, I think we're gonna give our picks and not really do a whole lot of explanation. So I'm gonna go left here. Boston Celtics versus New York Knicks. I think the Celtics always have one bad loss. I think they always start kind of slow. So I'm gonna go Knicks.
I don't think the Knicks can run with us at all. I'm a Celtics fan. I think we have the best starting lineup in the NBA. We have a bench. I mean, people like to say we don't, but if the starting lineup is what I believe it should be, we'll have Derek White off the bench, Sam Hauser off the bench, Peyton Pritchard off the bench.
I poked the bear, guys.
Luke Cornett could probably even step up a little bit. I'm going Celtics by 1,000,000, and if they lose, oh well. With the next game, I'm high on the Mavericks. I like the Luka and Kyrie combination. Granted, I know they're going against Wembanyama, but this will be Wembanyama's first NBA game, and it's against MVP candidates at that with Luka. And honestly, Kyrie could probably sneak in there a little bit if he wants to as well. What do you think?
I think that I'm not to sound like every ESPN Sports Center Instagram poster, but I think Wembanyama is a generational talent, and I think that he comes out and has a great opening game. And I think they beat the Mavericks because who's stopping him? Who's their center? Maxi Kleber? Like Grant Williams? Yeah. Who's gonna go stop him? I don't know. I think that
who's stopping
Kelvin Johnson? My boy Kelvin Johnson.
Okay,
Evan Vassell. Trey Jones. He went to Duke, but he's a good perimeter defender.
Pipe down, young fella. Next game, Sixers at Bucks. I think this will be a fantastic game where I get to watch the Philadelphia 76ers get put in the dirt by Giannis and Dame. They call him freak time.
I agree. I'm not going to debate.
Sixers are all right. I mean, they're top team in the NBA with Embiid and James Harden, and Tobias Harris, but I honestly think there's very few teams that could run with Giannis and Dame.
Yeah, we also love to see Joel Embiid lose. Just it's fun. Suns Lakers. I'm gonna you know it's not even biased. I'm going Suns again. Once again, can't stop
I'm
the
going
offense.
Suns. No.
Heat versus
And
Celtics.
It's not like the Lakers. It's not like the Lakers have a bench either.
Fair.
Heat
Celtics.
I'm scared of the Heat. They're a little
Heat
terrifying. They didn't get Dame in this offseason, though. I'm taking Celtics. The Celtics got better. The Miami Heat probably are the exact same team, I believe.
They lose a lot of their they lose a lot of their guys who just kind of threw it up and went in the postseason, like Max Strus.
Yeah, I'm taking
I
Celtics.
think the Celtics I think the Celtics are going to win this one. I think the Heat kind of just fell off the face of the earth when it comes to talent this offseason. So I'm going Celtics. Kings Warriors. This will be a really, really good game. But if there's anything that I learned from the playoffs, it's that the Kings cannot keep up with Steph Curry. They can't. Steph Curry is just...
They can for the first two games, though.
Fair. Steph Curry is just really insane. So I'm going to go Warriors in a gritty battle.
I really like the Kings. I think Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox are a very good combination. I like the Kings. I'm taking the Kings in this one.
Well, our last two matchups here. Knicks and Pelicans to start off. I think that these are two teams that could very well be not dark horse championship team, but like playoff. Like they could give a 1 or 2 seed trouble. Now maybe I'm overlooking I'm underestimating the Knicks here because they do have Jalen Brunson, has all pro potential or all NBA potential. He has all NBA potential. So then the Pelicans of Zion, who's I think finally healthy. Also, they have Brandon Ingram. The Pelicans have a lot of talent that no one really takes credit for.
They're an underrated squad for sure.
I've seen Jalen Brunson run over dudes 100 pounds bigger than him. So I'm gonna go Jalen Brunson and the Knicks in this matchup here.
I want to go with the Pelicans in this one. I think Zion, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, I think they have a lot of offensive talent.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, that's really all I got to say. I think Pelicans can pull one through against the Knicks. For the final game of opening week, the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns. Utah Jazz started out really hot last year. They were top of the West for like a few months, I think. And Lauri Markkanen was also a All-Star last year, but I think they started off really hot last year and then they fell off and they missed the playoffs. I'm going Phoenix Suns to start 3-0 on the season.
I'll say it there. I agree with you. I think Phoenix Suns start 3-0 to start the year, and so I'm excited. Well, me and Aiden both excited for this NBA season. Going forward, we will probably talk a little basketball here and there. Maybe just talk about the national televised games, just checking on the standings. But look for some more NBA content coming up in these next couple episodes.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 5 of the Stix. We'll see you next week. See ya.